Thomas here with Much Props, going to give you another how-to video. Today I am once again building something from the world of Skyrim. I am obsessed with the video game. I know I've bought it for every console basically that I can and PC, as well as made quite a few videos. I keep getting requests from time to time for people who also enjoy the game as much as I do, asking for more Skyrim builds. So from time to time I dive back into the world and find something random. I've done swords and all kinds of other things from the game, but I wanted to do something that was kind of, in my mind, iconic, but at the same time something that not a lot of people had just gone out and built. And I came up with the puzzle pillars. In the game, there are these dungeons that you go into, and to unlock certain doors, there are these little puzzles that you have to solve. You have to line up these little pillars with little characters on them in the right order in order to move to the next area. So I thought, why not make a small version of one of those out of foam? So that's what we're going to do. Today we are making a puzzle pillar from Skyrim out of foam. Let's get to building. These templates took a while to draw up. While it's not a huge complicated prop, there are a lot of details, especially on the animals. I traced the pattern onto some 10mm EVA foam, and the animals got traced onto some 6mm foam. I just freehanded the patterns onto the foam using my template as a reference, but if you needed to, you could punch holes in the lines and then kind of make yourself connect the dots to follow the pattern. The blue and green highlighted lines mean that you need an inward angle cut. The blue, which is on a lot of my templates, is a angle cut 45 degrees. The green is a little bit sharper of an angle, around 30 degrees for this build. An equilateral triangle, which is the top and the bottom of this pillar, needs to equal 60 degrees at each corner, so that's how I got to that number. Put on a respirator and work in a well-ventilated area because dust is about to fly and foam is about to get burnt. Protect yourself before you wreck yourself. I round over the animal edges with a stone bit on my rotary tool and then put down the design with a Sharpie. Then I take a wood burner and engrave the lines into the foam. On the side of the puzzle rune overlay pieces, there's this diagonal crossed line pattern. They are also on the bottom pieces, so I put a flat attachment on my wood burner and burn lines slanted in one direction, then come back in the opposite direction to make the cross pattern. I kept my respirator on for pretty much the entire build due to all the burning and sanding on each of these parts. Gotta protect your lungs. From what I can see from my reference images and looking at the pillars in the game, there is a texture variance between the main body of the pillar and the rune overlay area. So to make this chiseled stone look on the foam, I put on a round stone bit in my rotary tool and gouge out divots all over the surface. This texture will make the paint job later super easy and awesome. I'm going to assemble the pillar first, then attach the assembly base separate. So I traced out where parts will overlay on other parts, apply contact cement to both surfaces, and wait for the glue to set up. Then it's just a matter of tacking everything together. Slowly work in position carefully. As much detail as you've put on at this point, it would suck to have to redo a piece. Now there are other animals on the pillars. These are just the ones I picked. There's also a snake, a hawk, an owl, and a dragon, I believe. When the pillar is all attached, you'll need to sand the bottom flat so that it sits flush on the base, which is why I'm gluing them separately. Now I'm attaching the two base pieces together and then attaching the pillar on top of it. I highly recommend tracing your parts before gluing and tacking them down. It not only helps to fine-tune your alignment, it also helps you to conserve glue and lessen the amount of cleanup you have to do later. Once it's all attached, I quickly hit it with a heat gun to seal the foam and ready it for paint. Two coats of Plasti Dip to seal it. The paint job is pretty simple. I'm using Plat-Effects acrylic paint and dry brushing on shades of gray. I start with the darkest gray, then with each layer I pull in more and more white into the mix. The main pillar looks a little bit darker to me, then the rune panel is slightly lighter, and then the animal runes are the lightest. The lighter you go up in color, the more sporadic and lighter the pressure you apply to the prop surface. And we are finished. Here is the end result. I think it turned out fairly good. The detail on it's pretty nice. Now, you could go a step further and make this panel here rotatable, so you could actually move it like what's in the game. I wasn't about to engineer all of those things. I just wanted to build something that was kind of stationary. You could use it as, like, say, a bookend or something decorative on a shelf. But I think it looks pretty cool. Maybe you'll try and make one of these yourselves and impress your friends with your ability to pluck something out of your favorite video game and turn it into something real that sits on a shelf and looks pretty. Hopefully. Maybe you'll get some, and inevitably they're going to ask you, how'd you make that? You can give them one of these, tell them, much props. Well, I've got my shirt on. I've got my pillar. You can't do this in the game, but I thought, why not? Thank you once again to my Patreon members. Your support is extremely helpful in continuing these builds for me here on YouTube. If you'd like to join these awesome people listed here, please consider joining my Patreon. Links down in the description below. Let's create a community of creativity and positivity.